Derek here in a second.
Golden Black Radio is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. At Academy Sports and Outdoors, we carry all the gear you need from the top brands, all at prices you'll love. And now shopping at the Academy is more convenient than ever. We offer free assembly on in-store purchases of most bikes and grills, plus free and easy curbside pickup on academy.com orders. Want to save even more every day? Open and use an Academy Sports and Outdoors credit card to get 5% off future purchases when you're approved. Save time and money at Academy Sports and Outdoors and have fun out there.
I'm going to remove those two guys for a half second because we have one more thank you and commercial to get in. Acre Pro, of course, what this is, Acre Pro Wednesday Night Live. When it comes to land sales, it pays to have experts in your corner. Acre Pro Midwest Farm Group are your local farmland specialists with decades of experience in Indiana agriculture. No one knows the market better, whether you're doing a 1031 exchange or simply buying and selling farmland. Your local Acre Pro agent will walk the land with you and ensure the deal is done right. Visit acrepro.com or call 765-775-6502. Our good friend Kyle Spray and others will talk to you about your local, they're your local land expert. Again, that number 765-775-6502. And I know two guys anxiously awaiting to join me. They just can't wait because it's Wednesday night and they have nothing better to do with themselves. That's not true. They both have a lot better things to do, but not to visit with our YouTube subscribers and all the folks that will join us. And Tom Dienhart, Dub Jellison joining me, Alan Karpick here for Wednesday Night Live. And it's going to be a huge challenge. You guys as by this time in the week, you've got your game plans in as well. I'll start with you, Tom. Purdue's got a huge challenge. It would be one of the biggest upsets in terms of point spread, probably going all the way back. Truly, I did a little research going all the way back to Michigan in 1976, so I can't find that point spread to save my life. Notre Dame in 97, 19.5. Purdue a little bit more than that, but USC, just its body of work is even though they're unranked, they can score the ball. They say it's going to be a tough challenge for Purdue.
Yeah, I read your number crunching thing today. I saw that, and 1997, buddy. I'll never forget. I was at another game that Saturday, and Purdue just gotten beat by at Toledo.
Yeah,
coming home to play Notre Dame. I said, "There's no way these guys are going to beat Notre Dame," and they shocked the world. And what a fun year that was. So who knows? Like you said, the SC's a couple more point favorite. I think about 22 now, I believe, or 21.5. But nonetheless, the task is big. And like you said, USC, they're a lot like Purdue, right? They really haven't been tested yet. They played Missouri State. That was their first game as an FBS program. They played Georgia Southern, which is Georgia Southern, and just wiped the table with both of them. So they kind of are wondering how good they are. So Purdue's the same, right? And all the pressure's on USC, right? I mean, Lincoln Riley's fourth year. I think he's on a bit of a hot seat out there, maybe not a scorching hot seat, but his win total's going down each year. I think he's got to show some progress this year. And guys, too, you guys have seen it recited probably 100 times already. USC's record in the Big Ten footprint last year, 0-3. Lost at Maryland, lost at Michigan, lost at Minnesota. I saw Lincoln Riley sort of changing up their travel habits to try something different, maybe to shake their luck. So, yeah, Purdue's got nothing to lose, guys. Come and let it all hang out and see what happens, right?
Deb, what's your take on the men of Troy coming to West Lafayette? I'm just excited to see those uniforms. I think, and did you go? You said, Tom, you win in 76, or you did not? You did not qualify for tickets to the Dienhart family.
My dad, that was too big of an opponent. I got to go see him play like the MAC teams and sit in the
okay. I did get to that game, but Dub, what are you thinking this week? I mean, obviously a big challenge for Coach Barry Odom and company, but after 2 weeks, maybe it's so far so good for Purdue. What do you think?
I mean, it's a big challenge, obviously. I think USC should be ranked. I think the way that they've looked, especially offensively, has been phenomenal. But which we've come to expect out of UFC or USC and Lincoln Riley, right? But it's a big opportunity for Purdue. This is Barry Odom's chance to show that Purdue's making progress and they're turning the program around. Last year, going into this game, it'd be a matter of just how bad the beating was going to be. I think Purdue feels confident. I think they know the challenge that's ahead. Obviously, it's a significant step up from what they faced against Ball State in Southern Illinois. But It's a big opportunity for Barry Odom to really submit himself and prove that Purdue's on the right track of getting back on track.
All right. I think that's a good take. I always like this, Dustin. I appreciate it. Who's more likely to need a 1031 exchange, Barry Odom or Lincoln Riley? I'm going to guess Barry could buy some farmland faster than Lincoln Riley can, though. I don't know. Where's Lincoln? He was at OU, obviously. I don't even know where he grew up. Tom, do you know where his
he's from Texas. He went to Texas Tech.
Well,
so he's a native Tech.
He might have some farmland out there. I don't know. From that standpoint, it is all possible. In terms of you never know who's going to need a 1031 exchange, but that part we know is a thing that Lincoln Riley. I think I agree with you, Tom. He is a little bit on the hot seat. They looked good. It's so hard to come in. Georgia Southern is an FBS school now for the first or second year. Yeah. Missouri State just came into the FBS, right? And if you're comparing Purdue's two games, Ball State and Southern Illinois, I don't know. Can't do that probably. I do think that we're so used to those SC running backs looking good, and they did look good, at least on parts of the game I watched. They being USC have got weapons everywhere to go, but it starts at the quarterback, Tom, and that relationship with Coach Barry Odom is an interesting one as well.
Yeah, Alan, you and I remember SC's tailback U, right?
Right.
I mean, O.J. Simpson, Marcus Allen, Charles White, on and on it went there. And
Ricky Bell in Ross-Ade Stadium, right?
First pick in the NFL draft one year. So, of course, everybody throws the ball now. Lincoln Riley's a quarterback whisperer, right? Yeah. Caleb Williams and Jalen Hurts. Remember, he went to OU to end his career. Mm-hmm. And I think he coached Baker Mayfield as well. So now he's got Jaden Maeva. And, Alan, you talked about that fun storyline of Barry Odom coaching Jaden when they were at UNLV together in 2023, Barry's first year in Sin City there. And Jaden was terrific. Led him to 9 wins, the most, I think, ever since 1984. Got him to a bowl game. I think they won the bowl game that year. And then Jaden's out of Vegas and goes to USC. So had a lot of good things to say about Jaden. Yeah, I think he looks the part. 6'4", 220. Great stats so far. And Dub sort of talked a little bit about that offensive talent. And boy, I talked to Pete Arbogast, the longtime USC play-by-play guy. He's raving about the receiving duo, Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby.
Yeah, they look good.
I understand he's a USC guy, but he thought it could be maybe one of the best tandems in America. They've had 2 good backs in Wayman Jordan and Eli Sanders, too. Now, the one area that Pete was a little skeptical of was the offensive line. They still really aren't sure how good that O-line is there. So Purdue's going to have to – you always have to stop or slow down the run, right, and then try to get after the quarterback. So, they got to test that offensive line.
Yeah, I think it is a situation that they always look like they're fast. You watch those games on that Coliseum turf. It looks like Keeneland and Racehorse World. I mean, it's just like slick as anything. I know Purdue's turf looks great too, but I know something about that color and that sound of the band. I wish their band was coming. They're not, because I loved when I went to the game. I had Tom. Have you seen him in the Coliseum? Did you go to the game in '98?
I've been to a couple games out there in my career. It's a great venue, man.
Oh yeah, I was at the game when Purdue was playing out there in '98, and that 99-degree temperature at 10:30 in the morning, if you can believe that, kickoff time, Pacific time. But Dub, they've got skill position. But let's talk about what you saw at Purdue. Devin Mockabee really. Has become a workhorse. I guess he always has been, but even in record numbers so far for him over a 2-game span. Tom, I know you've talked about the fact Purdue needs to run the football, but Purdue needs to control things somehow at the line of scrimmage. Is that the way you look at Purdue's offense against USC's defense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Purdue made strides as far as offensive line play on Saturday night compared to what it was against Ball State. I know Barry Odom and Josh Henson were both complimentary of the trenches in that respect. And, as far as Devin Mockbee goes, I think Tom actually asked Coach Henson earlier this week about whether this was sustainable for Devin Mockbee, if this is something that we could expect. And he said, not necessarily, I think Saturday night, which is kind of Purdue needed him to carry the ball 32 times. So that's what he did. And Devin Mockabee's up for the test. And if they need him to do that again on Saturday afternoon, that's probably what he's going to do. But I don't foresee that being a weekly workload for him. But going into this game, they can look good against Southern Illinois. They need to look good against USC now. That's the big question across the board, right? I think Purdue showed some signs of potentially being a good team or a solid team, but that's all for nothing if you can't do it against the big guys. So that's the biggest question mark I have kind of for this game.
I'm going to pose Jim Garfinkel's question to both of you guys. Mockbee has more carries. His yards per attempt is down. Hasn't ripped off a 20-yard run yet. Has his running style changed at all? And I'm the least qualified to answer this, but I will say he's running over people. He is not avoiding contact. And I'm not saying he always didn't do that before, but it seems to be that way. But Tom, any thought on that question?
I don't think he's changed his style. He's a little bit elusive too, Alan. He can make some guys miss. Still has the crazy legs in him, as the Brom era nickname was.
Right.
And he's just relentless. I would say relentless. And I was thinking Saturday, watched him, like a one word that describes him. I always think of uncanny. It's just uncanny ability to make something happen, man. Always going forward. Probably didn't have a negative run on Saturday night. As Dub said, and Josh Henson, that's not a sustainable number, 32 carries. I think we all know that. Like Dub said too, that Henson said that was working that night, so they're going to ride it. I do know Devin's been banged up each season pretty badly, but he always guts it out. But they got to be judicious with his use here. They need more out of Harris and Malachi Thomas moving forward. So yeah, and the question about the big plays, the longest run this year, 17 yards for anybody. And there have been no real explosive plays in the run game yet. That was a real grind them out affair on the ground. So yeah, you'd like to maybe spring some big ones, but I don't know what Dub thinks. There's just really not a home run hitter in the backfield, but that doesn't mean you can't hit a few home runs now and then. But maybe those are coming. And like I said, I think in my email to you this week, Alan, you got to have big plays.
Yeah.
It's about big plays, not giving them up and getting
chunk
them.
Plays, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Purdue's not going to beat these guys by having 6 10-play drives. They're going to need a long gainer touchdowns. They're going to need a pick six, or maybe a run back, but they got to have some big plays, and maybe the run game can provide some Saturday.
Yeah, I think that's right. And one thing, there are more than Karpick family members watching, but my sister, who lives in San Diego, right here, brought some important intel. The band is coming, and she had a child, son Ryan, that went to USC. So she was at the Georgia Southern game. She did not file a scouting report, however, but she did say the band is coming 477 away games in a row. So I'm glad to hear that, and I excuse my lack of knowledge that they're going to come. I don't know whether Fleetwood Mac will be following or any other bands that they have been part of it. Not just them, certainly, but that's a great thing. That Nancy, I appreciate that your birthday's coming up. I need to do something special for you. That's for sure. But and there, I'm going to speak to the other my cousin Tom. Coming in from the lake here tonight. All you need is some square glasses to keep up with your podcast, man. No, I just need to be more handsome. I can't. Tom and Dub set the. What's that?
You can get these at the drugstore or the Payless.
I haven't put my readers on yet, Tom Gall, but I will. All right, this is a good question at David Ferguson, and this is really kind of the crux of the conversation that I've had among my sphere this week of people I've talked to about this game. Let's say USC scores 50-something and Purdue scores 21. I'll bring that down to 40-something. Is it still an improvement? I think it is, but just wanting to see what y'all think. Tom, I'll put you on the spot. What do you think? I mean, are there style points in a game like this for Purdue? I know that this is a whole new team from last year, but from the fan base perspective, still a little bit hard to wash that out. What do you think?
So we have to judge the quality of a blowout loss.
Yeah, right.
I think it does matter how USC accumulates its points, how big of a lead they build. Do they get out to a big 40-0 lead and then Purdue scores some kind of junk touchdowns late?
Yeah.
So is this game competitive in the second half, and USC kind of gets a couple quickies at the end to make it look like it was more out of hand than it really was? So, yeah, I mean, we're going to have to wait to see how it unfolds. If the score is a little lopsided, how that score ended up getting that way, how it was constructed, if you will, I guess. So, yeah, they're, like I said, a 22-point favorite. And so if they cover, it's not going to be a real pretty score to begin with if you win by 3 touchdowns. But again, how that all unfolds is going to really, I guess, be a good way to judge, the quality of what may be a blowout loss.
Yeah, Dub, the fan base needs encouragement. I think it's fair to say the fan base is encouraged by what it has seen, but also just kind of the way Barry Odom's handled himself in the offseason, kind of come forward. He lets the media types into practice. He says the right things. He's at events. He eats at the Boiler House Prime restaurant. I hear that a few times. But what do you think about that from a style point standpoint? Do you buy any of that?
Yes and no. I think it depends on just how the game plays out, just like Tom said. But in your scenario that you threw out, 40-21, I think that would be an improvement because we saw last year just what this a lot of games that we had to sit through that weren't competitive whatsoever in the entire second half. So I think it would be an improvement. And it would be a massive jump for them to come out and get 2 of these next 3 games against and maybe the toughest stretch of the season, maybe second toughest. That one at the end of October and early November is pretty brutal as well. But just showing signs of life and I think I wrote about it on Saturday. Purdue got punched in the mouth for the first time under Barry Odom by Southern Illinois.
They did.
And marching down the field. They could get punched in the mouth a lot worse on Saturday if they're not up to tune. So we're gonna have to see how they respond to that. But I do think that it would be an improvement to at least remain competitive until the second half.
Yeah, again, style points are important to some extent. I think the fan base, that's the most universal thing I hear from people is they just want to show a team that's competitive, plays hard all from up one side and down the other. It may not be quite that simple, but I think it's part of the formula for Purdue. And yet, I think if you're a fan, we were talking to Gary Danielson, who in his last year at CBS, I think will be doing the game this week. He had 2 games last year, 66-7, 49-10. And I said, in baseball, you can tell stories in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. It's hard to do that in football. And Gary, I remember having him on a show last year and known Gary for a few years, and he was politically correct, but he said, boy, those games are not easy to do. And he's hoping, I'm going to guess he's hoping and praying that they've got a third or fourth quarter game from this standpoint. Okay, Jim asked another good question, guys, that I don't know the answer to. I don't know whether you guys had the chance to know when Purdue was called the Boiler D clapping and they got penalized in game 1 for it. This goes back to the Ball State game. I know what the rule is. I don't know if you guys ever came across your plate or if you guys discussed that at all, or if Mike Shearer, Purdue's defensive coordinator, has any comments or had any comment about it. And I may have missed your reporting on it. If I did, I apologize. But guys, either anybody have a comment on that?
No, we never brought it up. We probably should have. The disconcerting signal, I think, was the call.
Yeah, I love that one.
I guess you can wave your hands, but you can't clap. Yeah, again, I don't know the specifics of it, so that's something I'm gonna have to clean up, and we'll have to ask the DC Mike Shearer about that again. Even though it'll be a little old, but I'd like some more clarification on that for sure, right?
Well, it's funny with coaches that you like to hear guys that can articulate. Matt Painter's really good at that, at talking about what he talks to officials about, and maybe Barry Odom will be too if he gets asked the question. But basketball is a heck of a lot different than football too. You have just have a little bit less to discuss from that standpoint. But yeah, Dub, any thoughts on that or any comment?
No, like Tom said, we didn't ask Coach Scheer about that, but I thought it was odd because they had done it a couple times before that. It didn't get called for anything.
Okay, I didn't notice. Yeah, okay.
To my recollection, and I didn't notice them doing it against Southern Illinois. So obviously, maybe that's something that they had done at UNLV and they let it slide. I had heard that it was a point of emphasis, the disconcerting signals this year. So it could be just one of those situations where. They're not used to those types of calls being made, and that's just what happens. And then you adjust and you figure out a new signal, which I'm assuming they've had a lot of experience with. So
here's the official disconcerting signals or actions or sounds by a defensive player to mimic the offense's cadence and draw a false start, resulting in a 5-yard penalty. Examples include shouting out a hut, clapping, or making movements to simulate the snap. So there you go. That's what they
thank God for the internet. Was that ChatGPT or was that Google or just you have the rule book?
That's my memory, Alan.
Really good. That's good. Yeah, I talk about Mike Scheer and Purdue's defense, guys, in terms of trying to all defensive coordinators want to show looks that confuse offenses. It'll be interesting because the dynamic, not necessarily with Mike Scheer, but with the quarterback and the relationship with Barry Odom. But what do you think so far in terms of, Purdue obviously adjusted last week. I mean, I think that's a fair statement. After Southern Illinois ran up and down the field and scored those 2 touchdowns, Purdue basically shut them down for the rest of the game. But talk about, I'll start with you, Tom, and just not only the job he's doing, but what you see his strategy and what might be his strategy come Saturday afternoon against USC.
Yeah, it's funny, Alan, that Mike Scheer and Barry Odom both said they really didn't adjust. They were just starting to communicate better.
Yeah.
Carry out their assignments. There was no panic. They finally were doing what they were supposed to do. And like you said, the results spoke for themselves Saturday night after those 2 first drives by SIU resulted in 14 points. What does Mike Scheer have to do? He's probably in the office right now, Alan.
Put the finishing touches on if it's Wednesday night, right?
He's probably pounding Rolaids right now. And Tom's looking at that Jaden Maeva film. He's got to get after the quarterback. And Deb talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Some of the exotic blitzes he has. He'll send cornerback after you. He'll take his chances. Bottom line, he's going to have to blitz. I think there's still some doubt about this line's ability to generate a rush without help of a blitz. Although we saw CJ not only
look good, a couple nice sacks, yeah.
But anyway, those are kind of garbage time sacks. They need sacks during prime time first quarter. Yeah. And like I said, they'll bring Correa, they'll bring Manny Powell, they'll bring Taj Rael or one of the cornerbacks off the edge. So it's that kind of stuff, getting after him, making him uncomfortable. He can't sit back there unfettered and just scan the field because Purdue's going to get smoked. So you got to get him out of rhythm. And I think even before that, guys, it's got to start with trying to mute the ground game.
I was going to say, too, in the SC receivers that you mentioned earlier, they can get away from people.
They can get away from you. So, yeah, he's got a lot on his plate there. The other matchup, Purdue's offense against their defense. Now, that USC defense, guys, has been a real issue under Lincoln Riley. They were 15th in the Big Ten last year in overall defense. I think old Rob Ryan is their DC. The old long-haired guy, remember him? Rex Ryan's brother? He's the DC, so they changed DCs again, and that's a side of the ball that I think they still have some trepidation about. Pete Arbogast thinks they're bigger up front, but he said they've given up some big plays in the secondary. So Purdue's going to have to take its shot and see what USC's defense has too.
Yeah, Dub?
Yeah, I agree with Tom. I think Purdue's going to have to blitz, and Mike Scheer's going to have to cook up some exotic blitzes. That's something that stood out for me in the first time me watching UNLV. when Barry Odom was going to come over, and seeing how Mike Shear kind of ran his defense. I think you got to blitz. You got to pack the box, try to stop the run, and you got to hope that your cornerbacks can stay with those receivers, because you're not going to have a lot of time to cover those guys. From what we've seen that the first 2 games from the Trojans, right? They've been lighting up the scoreboard. So, same sentiments as Tom. I think that's what they got to do to just try to slow down that USC attack. I don't know that they can completely shut them down. And I think some of the issues that we saw last Saturday stemmed from playing zone, and it was just a matter of execution. I think that's something that USC is probably looking at and licking their chops. So that secondary is going to be tested. I don't think that they weren't tested against Ball State much, if at all. Just with the nature of their offensive scheme. And although Southern Illinois had some success early on Saturday, I don't think they're a particularly great throwing team. This is a big test for them, and they got to hope that they can hold up on the back end.
Yeah, guys, Purdue has yet to get a takeaway.
Right. That's a huge problem. I think they were again, this is last year's team. Yeah. Last in the FBS, but only 5 turnovers caused the entire season. They didn't cause one until the 5th game, right? So no, and I understand we being Purdue have a whole different set of bodies out there, new people, but you do. I think you're not in this game on Saturday for real long if you don't get a couple takeaways and maybe even a scoop and score or something like that. Or maybe special teams, which I know Coach Barry Odom likes to hang his hat on that. But you need to be able to cause turnovers, and you think about the blitzes and all the stuff that Mike Shear's dialing up, that you might be able to do a little bit more of that.
You take chances. You obviously you're at risk of giving up big plays. You can't defend everything. You can't defend it. You got to decide what you want to try to stop, and then hope for the best, which you're not covering. And like you said, they got to get takeaways. They can't have them, man. They're gonna have to win the turnover battle. That always goes without saying, typically, especially when you're a heavy underdog. So we saw the 1 turnover last week by Ryan Brown. Didn't look like a real smart decision to throw into what looked like double coverage, but details of what happened on the route. But they got to keep it buttoned up. And 2 guys, they played smart football with the penalties. I think you pointed that out doing what you wrote. Number 1 in the Big Ten in fewest penalties per game. I think number 2 in the country. So you can't. But gets down, you can't beat yourself. Is what I'm trying to say. To win a game like this, you can't beat yourself with turnovers and silly penalties that extend USC drives or kill your drives.
Yeah, they got to. Go ahead, Dub.
Just real quick, 2 numbers, I guess 1 number, really. And the things we were just talking about, 0 interceptions and 0 times sacked for Jaden Maeva. So those are 2 areas that they've excelled in so far. And so Purdue's going to have their work cut out for them.
Yeah, and be able to, like you said, we get questions about, where these turnovers are going to come from. Is it going to be – you're probably not going to fool him a lot, but you've got to do something that they don't expect enough, or dial something out, or get a strip sack and get the ball on the floor, so to speak. Somehow if the Purdue's going to have a chance in this game. One note that I put on the back end of number crunching today that I borrowed from Purdue football, but I thought it was a good note. The only 2 Purdue quarterbacks with at least 15.0 yards per completion through the first 2 games of the season since 1995. Of course, Kyle Orton, I think, did it in 2004 when he was on his way to the Heisman Trophy and got derailed, and Ryan Brown. But just Tom, actually, I'm going to start with you, Dub. We got to let you be first once. At least once. What Ryan Brown, has been, with the exception of the ill-advised pass, has been pretty good. I don't think you can. I don't know that you can say he's great, because it's just so hard to tell. But what have you seen from him? And Purdue has tried to get the ball downfield. Or at least they've been able to get some gains that have allowed that average to be real. But what do you see in that passing game? And even Michael Jackson, who you wrote about, and others wrote about so much in week 1, didn't have a big week in week 2. But Nitro Tuggle did get a touchdown reception. But what does Purdue have to do in the pass game?
Yeah, I think they're going to need to take their shots, like Tom said earlier. You're not beating USC with 10-play drives and kind of grinding away. I think you're going to need some big plays on both sides of the ball, but particularly on offense. I think Ryan Brown's going to have to lean on Michael Jackson and Armand Branch, who's become one of his favorite targets.
Certainly.
Caught another touchdown on Saturday night. Nitro Tuggle made his kind of made his debut and made his mark on Saturday with his touchdown. And then, George Burhan. I think that's something that should excite Purdue and its fans. Just seeing number 81 back out there and finally looking healthy. I think ever since that bucket game in 23, where he exploded for 74 yards and a score, I think we've all collectively been waiting for this moment for him to get back on the field and just look like himself. And look like he's going to be a guy for Purdue. And that's been the key for him, is staying healthy. So it appears he's on the right track there. And I would anticipate him having a significant role within the passing game. But from the Ryan Brown piece, I think he's looked more confident this year. I think he was, despite him exploding against Illinois last year, I thought there was times where he did enter the game and then he looked like a redshirt freshman. I think he looks like more of a veteran now. And I think Josh Henson put him in a lot of really good positions to make plays. And he's made them, which is the name of the game. So I'm encouraged by what I've seen from him. And then now it's just about him being more consistent. We saw a few miscues, misreads, poor throws on Saturday night that we didn't necessarily see against Ball State. It's about limiting those and just playing consistent football. And I think that's the key for him.
George Burhan, your man on the street, your favorite guy on the team, Tom Dienhart, though he did start to show it's not your favorite guy, but the guy you think can be hugely impactful.
He's my number one ranked player.
That is your number one ranked player, not your favorite, just the one you thought was really
his favorite player is Jack McAllister.
Yeah, the Purdue's punter who got no work last week. I'm going to guess he'll get some work this week. But tell me about George Burhan and what you saw. He had 3 catches, I think, for 48 yards, if I'm right. But what certainly a part of that offense that could really make a big difference for Purdue if he can, because he's a guy that has the body type and can compete against a team like USC, one would think.
He's a legit 6'5". I always call him a lithe athlete, man. He was a hurdler in high school. We've seen him hurdle in college and just on the run, man. The mismatches, the safety's trying to cover him, linebackers trying to cover him, forget about it. So they need him to be a star. I think he could be one of the Big Ten's best tight ends and maybe Purdue's best weapon overall. Just open up a lot of things for those receivers on the edge too. And Ryan Brown, like I said, I tell you, rewatching the game, just the fire he's got too. That's authentic competitiveness and just a special guy and a heck of a leader, as we always hear. And I tell you what, we got a chance to talk to Braden Joyner this week, the center, number 55 from Auburn. And Dub and I were, before he came out, Dub and I wondered, is he even 6 feet tall?
Yeah.
And he's about 6'1". He's a little bit taller than me. Me and Dub about the same height. He was a little bit taller than me, so he's 6'1", and great guy. And he's the highest graded lineman Purdue's had so far. I know that Brian Newbert really likes him a lot. Brian does upon further review, and was raving about just the hustle, the relentlessness of Braden Joyner. So he's going to be a fun guy to watch. He'll get tested this week, like I said, against USC. And guys, speaking of USC, I mean, this is a must-win for them. They cannot lose at Purdue. They can't.
Yeah.
I mean, their fan base is going to show up at his house with torches like at the end of the Frankenstein movie. And after losing to Minnesota and Maryland last year, going 4-5 in the Big Ten, if they get beaten West Lafayette, man, they won't let their plane land in LAX probably. So again, all the pressure's on them. I think that's where I began this conversation. All the pressure's on them. So we'll see how tight they are too. Especially guys, if they get off to a slow start. One thing Purdue's done is start fast. I was looking at the stats: 28 points in the first quarter after they scored 13 all.
Last year.
13 points the entire season in the first quarter, and they already have 28 this year, and they've started fast. So, yeah, maybe they jump on USC and they create a little bit of doubt in their mind.
Yeah, the two biggest questions, if Purdue would pull the upset, would be buyouts for Kalen DeBoer and for Lincoln Riley. I think we're already on the DeBoer front. I guess I don't pay much attention to that, but
poor guy's only going to get $7 million if he gets fired.
Yeah, I think so. If it were me, give me that money. I'm off to the Virgin Islands. I think would be, but that's me. Not everybody else. No, it is going to be.
You wouldn't say in West Lafayette.
Well, I'd come back. I'd come back and visit you.
You could have bought Ryan Walters' house.
Well, that's true. That's true. Somebody did at $4.2 million, I guess. But that was because the pool wasn't installed yet.
Okay.
But it is sold. I did hear who bought it. Property manager that must own some property in West Lafayette. Guy I did not recognize, but he and his family are about to move in. And you know what? I got a chance to go through it. It's a nice house. I think the three of us and our families and our extended families could all live there. Nice and never see each other.
I'll just be the pool boy. Let me sleep in their mother-in-law quarters.
Oh yeah, the mother-in-law quarters is. I saw that too. Very nice, very nice. It's all wonderful. All right, guys, we're gonna put a wrap on this, but you got to tell me what we will see on Saturday afternoon, 3:30 kick. Dub, I'm going to make you go first, but what do you think? I know you're still 36 hours away from having to do your prediction for the site, but what do you really think is going to happen?
First and foremost, I think Ross-Ade Stadium is going to be rocking. I think it's been a good environment.
Is it close? Have you guys heard it? Is it close to a sellout?
I was talking to.
Sorry, Dub.
Purdue University. Purdue University rep at the press box last week. He thought it was going to be close to a sellout.
Okay. All right. Dub, continue. Go ahead.
I think it'll be because, I was kind of expecting a potential sellout early in the year. Maybe that's me being naive. But I think it's going to reach a sellout, and I think it's going to be rocking in there. Maybe some more Trojan fans than Mariota might like, Flood and Ross-Ade. But I think first and foremost, Ross-Ade is going to be rocking. Second, I think it's just going to be – it's going to be cool to see the Trojans in West Lafayette. It's something I've never seen. And then in terms of the game, I have a hard time believing that Purdue can fully slow down Jay Maeva in that passing attack. It's just to what extent do they go off and how much Purdue can slow them down. It's something that, I wasn't necessarily concerned about it prior to the Southern Illinois game, but seeing what they did the first two drives, it's kind of giving me pause. So I think that's the real key for them. And I think that 20.5 line is pretty spot on. That's kind of what I expected when we were talking about it on Saturday night before the lines officially came out. So I think that's right about on the money.
All right, Tommy D, what do you think?
Again, one thing you can do if you can keep the ball away from USC. Yeah, you keep the ball. If you can run the ball, I know it's going to be hard to keep long drives, but limit their possessions. Don't go 3 and out. Again, control the clock, shorten the game, as they always like to say, right? If you can shorten the game, that would help. And of course, we just talked about Mockabee when we started this thing. You may have to feed him again. And if they can just take this game into halftime, still in it, maybe only down 10 points or a touchdown, just get this thing in the second half and give yourself a shot. Give fans hope, because like you guys said, man, last year's 42-0 halftime against Notre Dame. I don't even know what the IU game was at halftime, and then
I think it was the same. Oregon I don't know. It was close.
Yeah, it's very close.
It was on and on. It went up. Wisconsin was a total abomination of mass. And so if they can keep this thing close, get in the second half, be competitive, not beat yourself, I think that will please a lot of fans. And Alan, I'm kind of eager to see the USC band too. That's an iconic band.
I'm so
those helmets they wear,
Oh yeah, I'm thrilled.
Where are they going to seat them at?
I don't know. Well, it's funny because our some of the tickets I have are on the northeast side. They put the bands sometimes put the bands up there, but I don't know if they're going to march or how that works. But I love that when USC has the ball, and they'll probably do that the Trojan March or whatever it's called. And I know I can just hear my sister right now typing it up of what the answer is. So they'll show up in the comments.
Put them on the field in the north end zone.
Yeah, it's going to be that part will be a lot of fun. That's what college football is kind of all about. All right, I'll be the last word. Lightning bolt plays are necessary to win games like this. Purdue in 1997 over Notre Dame, lightning bolt play, the Ron Paulus fumble, and Adrian Beasley's scoop and score. He had a entourage with Roosevelt Colvin and Lee Brush down the sidelines. 1976, maybe the biggest point spread Purdue's won. Purdue beat number 1 Michigan and Bo Schembechler. There was a lightning bolt play in that game. Rick Leach, Michigan's quarterback. I mean, Jim Smith could not have been more wide open, and it would have broke the game open. He dropped the ball. It was a sure touchdown. Purdue turns around and scores. Scott Durking, I think it's still a Ross-Ade Stadium, tied a Ross-Ade Stadium record with 38 carries. But that Purdue's going to need something to happen good, like Dub and what you guys have said. The fact that it's a sellout, they'll be juiced. And you want something good to happen early. Get everybody into the games. Think you have a chance. And if that happens, it could be a good football game.
3:30, Alan. 3:30 kickoff, Alan. Those fans are going to be tailgating for a good 6 hours. So
they're going to be teetotaling all day.
They'll be drinking Lone Brow and Brow and Old Milwaukee, and they'll be torched up and ready to go come kickoff.
Oh, now Dub would tell us. I think it's Busch Light is what they're doing.
It's Natty Light, isn't it?
Natty Light.
Well, Natty too. They're all whatever's cheap and low carb works.
It's cheap.
Well, and Tom, I don't think we were any different back in the day, but which is true. Money's always an issue when it comes to that stuff. So, gentlemen, thanks so much. Always enjoy our conversations. We'll have more of them. You can watch. If you're a local viewer, Tom Dienhart's going to spread some major league wisdom on WLFI tomorrow, Thursday night. We will have also the great Derek Schultz will host the Golden Black Radio preview show, which will hit the airwaves on goldenblack.com and on this same YouTube channel and on your favorite places to watch, listen to podcasts. That preview show, and of course, Golden Black Live this week. Tom will probably have to get him out of the bullpen again to talk a little bit more about the game. Mm-hmm. And of course, Kelly Kitchell and Ken Halpin will join us. You know, Kelly, one thing we haven't talked about, but the fact that Drew Brees and company will be in Ross-Ade Stadium, the Rose Bowl team from 25 years ago. That's a big deal. I know they got an event Friday night as well, and they'll all behave. I don't know if Vinny Southern will, but I think there's a chance they will. But that's going to be fun.
You, Alan? I thought they were staying.
Yeah, I don't know, but and you put the list on there. They got some good guys coming back, and that'll be a special thing too in Ross-Ade Stadium. Anytime Drew Brees comes back, it's a big deal, and that part will make for a fun day. And if Purdue can pull an upset, even more funner. Yeah, for Purdue fans.
Man, Arnett Tiller's going to be there with two.
Well, and that's we were digging Tom Schott, friend of the show and former Purdue strategic communications guy, still works in the university with the board of trustees as their publicist of sorts. Mm-hmm. Said that Arnett is coming, and we pulled up some pictures of Arnett from the Tiller Tunnel dedication from a couple of years ago. One of my favorite Tom Campbell pictures of Arnett. She really coined the term boiler up. In fact, she did coin the term boiler up. She is patient zero when it comes to that, but a great picture of her at the Alamo Bowl year 2 in the stands after Purdue beat number 4 Kansas State. So that's all part of the fun, and Arnett is very, very close to that group. And after Joe's passing a few years ago, even extra special.
She's still waiting for a royalty check, Alan.
I think she might be, and maybe she should.
Check in the mailbox every day.
I know. That's true. All right, gentlemen, have a great rest of your evening. Thanks to all of you for watching and listening. And one last programming note, of course, Saturday simulcast also will be after the game on Saturday because it's called Saturday Simulcast. We'll have our post-game comments from Dub, Tom, Brian Newbert, and of course Nate Barrett, my co-host. We'll have some fun with that too. All right, gentlemen, I'm going to let you go, and I'll wrap this baby up. But thanks so much. Thanks again to Acre Pro and the good folks at acrepro.com. When it comes to land sales, don't forget, it pays to have experts in your corner. You can call Acre Pro. You can reach out to acrepro.com, or you can call 765-775-6502. Kyle Spray and company will take care of you when that 1031 exchange comes up, and you need one. they're the people you talk to. So again, thanks to all of you for watching and listening. And if you missed part of this, we'll have this on our podcast. And of course, you can go back to YouTube and watch the replay as well. Have a great rest of your Wednesday evening, and we'll see you next week on Acre Pro Wednesday Night Live on goldenblack.com.